The DJI Action 2 is DJI's next attempt to succeed in this rather difficult action camera market. This time DJI has developed a completely new concept. With its modular design, the Action 2 reminds us more of the Insta361R and less of the GoPro Hero 10. Today we will unbox the Action 2, do a quick setup and take a first look at the camera, its features and the menus. First, a few thoughts about the price. As you can see here, this is a so-called dual screen combo. The second module has a display that can be used as a front display. This currently costs $519 at launch. In addition, there is also a power combo. The power combo costs $399. The two combos basically differ in two things apart from the price. The power combo does not have a front touchscreen module but a power module, which of course has no touchscreen but more battery power. In addition, you get a magnetic ball joint adapter mount with the dual screen combo, which is not included in the power combo. We will take a look at this mount in a moment. Personally, I am not a vlogger and probably the power combo would have been sufficient for me. However, it is not available at the moment. It won't be released until the end of November, at least here in Europe. Of course, the second touchscreen also has its advantages. In any case, the price is rather high. It is obvious that DJI is not trying to beat the competition on price, but to be successful through quality and a new concept. Of course, the prices will come down in the course of time. By the way, I have put links in the video description for current offers. Once the outer packaging has been removed, the box can be easily opened from the side. Here we find a few instructions, a quick start guide, safety guidelines. But let's put that aside and look at the camera. There are two modules in the box, the camera module and the front display module. Let's take a look at the actual centerpiece first, the camera module. First, let's take off the protective films. What is immediately noticeable here is that the camera body looks very high quality. It is mostly made of metal and simply looks well made. Here on the lower side you can see the expansion port. Let's take a closer look at the camera from the front. As you can see, it actually looks pretty good. The little hole here is the microphone. Somehow you can't imagine using this as an action camera. I would feel the need to get a protective case right away. The hole here on the side is an air pressure balance hole. At the top you can see the only actual button, the power and record button. Let's take a look at the touchscreen module. The touchscreen module has several microphones. You can see one at the back here. The audio quality should improve considerably when using this module. The display looks identical to the display of the camera module. The touchscreen module also has a button. This should have more or less the same functions as the button of the camera module. These are the speakers. It's interesting how the two modules connect. When you hold them close to each other, they snap together and the clips snap into place. They hold together very tightly and can only be separated by pressing in on both sides. That's a good solution in any case. By the way, the touchscreen module charges the camera module like a power bank. The camera module can only be charged in this way. It is a little strange that the touchscreen module is thicker than the camera module. That doesn't necessarily look quite right. I don't have the figures at hand, but I have a feeling that both modules are similarly heavy. Okay, let's see what else is in the box. A USB-C to USB-A cable for charging, the magnetic lanyard which you can wear under a t-shirt. Here you can then attach the camera module magnetically. An adapter mount. With this you can use all GoPro mounts. And this is a very interesting mount. DJI calls it the magnetic ball joint adapter mount. You can attach the upper part to a tripod, for example. The lower part can be glued to flat surfaces. If you wash it with water, it should be reusable. I'm curious to see how well it holds. And of course, you can screw both parts together. So let's take another look at what's inside the box. The two modules, the lanyard, the adapter mount, the ball joint adapter, and of course the cable. Let's compare the camera module briefly with a GoPro. Here you can see the comparison with the GoPro Session. Seen from the front, it is similar in size, but it is much thicker. And here you can see the comparison with the GoPro Hero 10, which is of course much bigger. It is no longer so clear when you connect the two modules. Okay, it's time to turn on the camera. At this point, I'm taken by surprise by Chinese characters. I should probably install the Mimo app on my smartphone, which I have actually already done. Unlike me, you should not get lost in the Chinese menu, but start the Mimo app and connect the camera to the smartphone. Before that, I changed the language on the camera to English. The app finds the camera immediately. The two devices connect via the verification code. Then you have to accept the terms of use and can activate your Action 2. I'm not needing Care Refresh at the moment, and I'm not interested in the user feedback either. And actually, the app immediately installs a firmware update, which takes a little while. Then I have to connect the camera again. Okay, now we are ready to go. Let's take a quick look at a few basic functions in the menu. Then you'll get an impression of how this camera works. By swiping sideways, you change the modes. There are photo, video, quick clip, slow-mo and time-lapse. When you swipe from top to bottom, the settings menu opens. At the bottom, you see the settings for the memory. And here it's quite interesting that the Action 2 has an internal memory of 32 GB, of which you can use about 22. I think that's great. To use your own SD card, you need the touchscreen module. At the bottom right, you will find the menu item for further settings. It is interesting that voice control is only available in Chinese and English, at least at the moment. There are also very few voice commands, as you can see here. It is also interesting that the camera has a vibration feature for messages. Under anti-flicker, you can set 50 or 60 Hz, just like on the GoPro. However, the Action 2 also has an automatic function. This is supposed to detect flickering and adjust the setting automatically. If we swipe to the left in the menu, we see the Pro mode, which you can switch on and off here. The Pro mode activates the possibility of making certain settings manually in the recording settings. Then you can activate the voice control, adjust the screen brightness and activate the orientation lock. But let's take a quick look at the shooting settings. If you swipe upwards at the bottom left, you can set the resolution and frame rate, and also the stabilization. Overall, the touchscreen works quite well, but when I want to switch between horizon steady and rock steady here, it doesn't seem to work so easily. Here on the bottom right, there is a digital zoom. On the left is the function to view your own media, and on the right you can set the recording settings. For example, you can adjust the automatic exposure and the ISO values. Under color, there is also the Cine-like. Let's take a quick look at how the camera works in combination with the touchscreen module. It is interesting that the touchscreen module now also gets an update when it is switched on for the first time. Here you can see how it looks from the front. As you can see, the same functions are available here as on the camera module. Here you can see a comparison with the front screen of the GoPro. But of course, we must not forget that that is not a touchscreen. However, the GoPro is waterproof as a whole. In the case of the Action 2, it is only the camera module that is waterproof, although this too should apparently only be used in water for longer periods with the waterproof housing. You can be sure that I will now take a close look at how the Action 2 compares to the GoPro Hero 10. I will extensively compare image quality and stabilization. And that's it for today. Now I'm going to take the new Action camera out and see how it performs. Give me a like as feedback if the video was interesting for you. There will be more videos about the DJI Action 2, so stay tuned and see you next time.